Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Adult Child of Dysfunction. Today, we have with us a super special friend. Her name is Sheila Andres. Andres, I'm sorry. She is a trusted advisor, a progress expert, a speaker, and an author. She champions small business success. After college, she found herself and her passion as a right hand and partner to an entrepreneur, building his legacy from startup to success. Sounds like you did all the work, but we'll let you tell us about that later. Using that experience with running a business and the entrepreneurial journey, she now serves others in building a thriving business of their own. She is owner of Realize Your Vision and founder of the Stuck Sucks movement, where small business success is the catalyst for positive global impact. There is power in small, is her comment, and I absolutely love that. So, hi, Sheila. How are you today?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Tammy. It took everything in me to like not yelp or scream and a hoorah as you are reading the bio. I'm still passionate about what I'm called to do, so I'm happy to be here.
Sounds good. Isn't it great when someone else reads your bio? Because it's like you write it and you go, yeah, whatever. But then when someone else reads it, you're like, wow, that sounds really good. Right?
Yeah, it's an opportunity to almost like reflect back and
Hmm.
who you are and show love and kindness to receive that and own it. I'm gonna own all of that. So thank you. You were so good at reading it.
I paraphrase a little bit and I probably pronounced your name wrong, but you know what? It's all good here. So,
It's
anyway, I want to just jump right in because I love they made me giggle actually right before we came on here. I was reading a little bit more about your story and about, the stuff that we go through and how we sometimes just don't feel fulfilled or feel fulfilled. But what really got me was the stuck sucks movement. So, talk a little bit about that because I think that's profound.
I mean, I think about movements and I think of Martin Luther King, Gandhi. I'm like, I am not that. But honestly, if we are so passionate about something that really feels like an anthem and it's relatable, doesn't matter. We're here. We're here to provide impact, do something beautiful in the world. And I love it. It's kind of like an anthem. And every person I've met that read it is the same reaction as you, Tammy, like, oh my God, I love that. And you know what? Because it just resonates in however way it does for you. Because no matter what in life, we're getting stuck. We get stuck in so many things. And because I'm like a trusted advisor, progress expert, and I really am a business coach and consultant, I do a lot of what I share under that umbrella of entrepreneurship, but it is literally across the board applicable to all and life. And so it's that feeling of stuck about who do we want to be and grow up to be? What career should we take? Relationships, money, what should we do with it? What kind of life we want to create? There's so much around that. Um, so I think to answer your point was, um, I guess I'll just jump into where the root, where did it birth from?
Yeah, where did it birth from? Because everything is going through my head. And like you said, let's apply this to your audience, my audience, the whole everybody. And we all do. And some people, I remember I was working with a coach one time and he said, well, what are your people? What resonates with them? What is their pain point? And I remember saying, they're just stuck. And he goes, nobody understands what that means. And I'm like, you do if you're stuck. And I
I
kept,
know.
and I was arguing with him and I was like, no, you do. You're stuck in a marriage you don't like. You're stuck in a job you can't stand. You're stuck not being able to go any farther. You're stuck only dealing with this amount of income. Like so many different things. And the biggest thing that my people deal with is they've been programmed to believe that's all they're worth.
Oh my God, girl, hit that nail on the head. And the one thing that really inspired me about what you're saying when people say, like, I don't understand stuff or people don't do that, it's like saying nobody will pay for courage or nobody will pay for clarity. It's these intangible things that's very difficult to quantify. You can't quantify the feelings, the thoughts, and this invisible, I don't know, thing that holds you and keeps you from more or greatness or progress and forward. But it's so real. And I love that you brought that up because I'm here to empower people to say, do not diminish that. Do not diminish it. And I think what I would say to keep it very short and brief is, I grew up, had a great family, and they tell you go to school, become successful, get a good job, get paid well. And yes, you can create then you'll be successful and happy. So I did all of that and then some. And I chose to work for a smaller business owner rather than a big corporation right out of college. And bottom line is, it's where I got a chance to experience all the things that was necessary for a small business to succeed. I think the biggest value I got was understanding the journey from startup to success. And along the way, I'll tell you without, that, you have 2 weeks,
Right.
it really was this. It just started out passion, aspiration, excitement for the vision of the entrepreneur. And somewhere along the way, it felt more like it turned into expectation, demand. Um, and it's like something got lost. And I feel like we go through different things or experiences about that sense of loss, about who we are and what we're supposed to do with our lives. And I actually believe, after all this experience and witnessing other humans in their own journey, is that I think we're all created for something specific and special in this world. And when we're not completely aligned with that truth, no matter what we're doing, there's going to be this calling, this little ache, this tug in our heart to try to find that. So that's what happened to me. And bottom line, really fast forward, throughout my career, believe it or not, I had people here and there say, Sheila, how come you don't have your own business? You're
Mm,
really good at it. And I thought, I never imagined myself as an entrepreneur. It's not, they say be a doctor, be a lawyer, they don't say be a business owner. So
right.
it was something really foreign to me. And I said, well, I dismissed it. I dismissed it. But sometimes the most obvious things that come naturally are bare truth and some honesty to it. So left the company after 2 decades, and then I went down the entrepreneurial path, and I thought, well, if I was able to go through this journey and achieve and help, succeed in some form, and help that entrepreneur succeed in some fashion, I should be able to do it for myself. And girl, I could not. I could not. And I was sick. I'll tell you, it wasn't about the doing, because I have experienced so many things in my career that I had to do that I never done before. I didn't even like it. I didn't even know I liked it. I had no idea what it was about. But when it was put in front of you and you have the will and the way, I mean, the will, you'll find the way,
Right.
and was able to achieve. So even applying that, but I just kept hitting this invisible wall. Was driving me nuts. I'm surprised I don't have a bald spot right now. But I mean, can you relate, Tammy?
No, absolutely, absolutely. And if nobody says you want to be an entrepreneur, and nobody really ever says, hey, branch out and just do something you love, and
Yeah.
everything will be great. And that's, I think, part of the alignment part is really getting to that doing something you love as well. As I think that's a huge part of it. But no, I can totally relate. And I get it. I mean, entrepreneurship is not easy to begin with. There's no
No,
A
but
to Z program, there isn't. There's just no blueprint.
no, and this can even apply for somebody that feels like they're in a career transition. It really is about, what am I called to do in this gift of life that was given to me, you know? And all I know is it got stuck, but I'll tell you, that opened up a whole nother understanding, um, concept of what being an entrepreneur really means. And I think if we were able to dive deep into that, whether it's a career path, to understand what it really means to succeed in what you love, or to align with what you were created for to do in this world, it is a deep, profound journey of change, discovery, learning to love. Um, and I had no idea. But I'll tell you, the wall was not about doing, it was not about strategy or tactics. The work was saying, What is it that's not making you happy? What is it about this that somehow you're resisting? Am I resisting though? Am I really resisting and avoiding? Or is there a valid reason that I can't do this or shouldn't do it because we're justifying our actions? So you're in this kind of state of unknown because you're doing something you've never done before. You're trying to discover and understand maybe yourself and what's hindering, and you've never done it before. So let me tell you, there's a lot of you don't know what you don't know. We don't know what we don't know. I did not know what I did not know.
I say that all the time. And that's why I'm like, go out and explore because you don't know what you don't know. And you don't, that's why embrace your mistakes, especially in something like starting your own business, because that's how you learn. If you don't ever make a mistake, you don't know what you didn't know. I mean, that's the biggest thing too. And it's hard going back to kind of again this audience that we deal with. That journey is even harder because not only do we not know what we don't know, but we have so many built-in beliefs to
Yes.
where we get to a certain point and we don't even know what we're doing, but we self-sabotage ourselves because of those beliefs. Agreed?
Oh, absolutely. And see, that's the other part. I have no shame in admitting that I was so ignorant. I had these beliefs in my mind, and I was so ignorant to its authority over me. And we read and hear about things, but I never fully integrated the understanding of what it means to change and what's holding us back. The depression to me was, oh, you have a problem. Well, I can't be depressed because if I was, and there would be a problem with me. And I'm not a problem. There's nothing wrong with me. And so it feels normal.
Mhm.
We don't know. But I'll tell you, for those, and I say this with really a place of love and support to accelerate you, if you are this person that really wants change, that wants better and more and good in their life, it's really saying, and I'm going to save you time and energy if you take a moment to reflect. So, what really took a lot from me was resisting being open to it. So, I kept hitting a wall. And I would deny and not be open to exploring what is there about me that is really getting in the way here. So I kept doing it. I let years pass until I got to a point of complete despair. And the despair was, I know what I'm doing, but I don't. And
Mhm.
I keep, even if I did, the confidence or the good or the joy is fleeting because there is something where I just feel stuck. I don't feel like myself. I don't feel like in alignment of something. And you hit this place, and the despair is really like when your back is pinned to the wall and you're asking, is this all that it is?
Mhm.
And it's saying, if it is, it's going, then accept it. But if it isn't, then what change needs to happen? And I'll tell you, it's one little switch, I think, and it's really going, can I just be honest with myself and be open to seeing what's coming to me without my beliefs, judging it, preventing it, dismissing it, blocking it, but really hearing maybe what some person told me or what I've experienced here. And deep down inside, I have a feeling and I know what's getting in the way, but I've denied it type of thing. So it's a place of courage, vulnerability to accept your truths. And that when you do that, it feels horrible, scary, frightening. But I promise you, when you find that courage to really go there and you weather out whatever that journey and process is of change and discovery, the results that you find is a much beautiful, joyful, peaceful, successful you. And I don't know about you, but that just sounded sexy right now.
That did sound sexy right now. And it's funny though, like I say it, and again, for the people listening, that is the hardest part of this whole journey is self-reflecting and really looking at your part in it. And the best advice I can give you going when you're starting this and you're like, oh no, 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 I've done this and I've done that and I've done this. Assume that anything going backwards was not your fault, that you are an exact byproduct of your environment, and that anything you did out of survival, you did out of necessity, you did out of not knowing what you don't know. Now, going forward, once you are aware, now it is your time to take responsibility. And in that, giving yourself grace for the stuff in the past because you can't change that. And beating yourself up about that is not going to help anything. But moving forward, it's again, you're right. I mean, Sheila, ask yourself, I mean, listeners, ask yourself, do I really want to change? Because if you do, and there, I promise you, if you're sitting here listening to a podcast called Adult Child of Dysfunction, you want to change something. You're not just on
Absolutely.
here for the fun stories.
No, and the thing here, it's real, it's raw, but there's beauty in it. And there were so many things that you said, Tammy, that I want to say is it's like a reflection of love, an act of love. That's why when I mentioned the willingness to change, the willingness to discover yourself, truths, the willingness to learn how to love, desiring to change and allowing yourself permission to see who you are, to love on what you don't like, and embrace and accept what is good about you, to me is an act of love, right? Deciding that you are worth more. And therefore, whatever effort or action you take, it's like an act of love. Because if you're a better person, imagine the kind of contact or intangible ripple effect that you can have in somebody else's life by just being you. Now, stuff sucks. People relate to that because it's true. When you're stuck, it freaking sucks. So
Right.
every time I got to that place of despair, I even said, I go, why? I don't understand why anyone wants to be an entrepreneur. This is horrible. I feel stuck. There's no other way to say it. When you think about all the things, it all boils down to stuck. And it's stuck of what? Stuck in who I'm being. Stuck in this version or something that's not able to give me the joy or the peace that I might have lost in my life. So I'm going to step in a little bit in some truth and vulnerability, but I really hope that this gives other people some permission or empowers you to find the courage to face things or truths that are hard so that you can succeed or receive more of what you desire in this world because you are worthy. And so I wanted to share about, some of the things I ended up discovering that feels dysfunctional. We don't like that word, but it's really just meant as a terminology for us to associate and understand what is going on.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, break it down. It's dysfunction. It's not functioning well. So
yes,
something
there.
is happening that it's not
Yeah.
functioning well. It's like they don't like to use the word retarded, but it's retarded. Like it's not working well. That's all it means. They break the
Yeah.
words down and it's not so scary. It's just a fact.
Yeah, no, exactly. So when I sat there and, like somebody went and sent me information and a book on depression, my immediate response was defensive. And I sat there like, why are you sending this to me? And then he was talking like, oh no, he's really good and has all this wisdom and knowledge and can explain. And I interrupted him and I said, I'm sorry. Are you saying that I'm depressed? Now, Tammy, I understand depression, but I did not understand depression either. So I
Right.
had this belief about what it was, but I didn't know how it interpreted in my mind, how I felt about it clearly, what it really looks like to be depressed and to connect with that. Another thing was, oh, I should be embarrassed about this, but I'm not anymore. I probably, I don't even want to go in my, what do you call that? Age in there, but let's say half my lifespan And I finally met ego. I met my ego. I call her Shigo. And I'll tell you, there were moments in my life where I didn't really like myself. I could have been at a family party or something enjoyable, and I'm driving home and I'm sitting there. The evening was amazing. It was beautiful, full of laughter, happiness, joy, lots of food, right? And I'm sitting in the car and I'm feeling the blues. And there's something deep down, like in my soul or something, that's restless and not happy. Fast forward, long story. It took a process and more than a minute to really understand ego and what it looked like. And I realized that there may have been moments, even if it wasn't clear to me, where I may have showed up and maybe my shigo wanted to look good or to be right. And whether I was conscious about my behavior deep down inside in my subconscious, I understood what my behavior was and I didn't like myself. So it's deep. And we're like ego. I don't have an ego. And then it pained me even more to really discover, not pain, it was just a hard truth. I have a computer information systems background, and I went into an industry and worked for a software development company and predominantly men and male. And my interaction, the environment or whatnot, nurtured my ego. Can I say
Right.
that I grew balls and, instead of tatas, can I say that? So, the masculinity
Hmm.
but it was fed with a belief because of my experiences dealing with certain men. When I would walk in, I did not want to be recognized or remembered or thought of as a skirt. I wanted to be recognized, remembered, and thought of for my intelligence.
Right.
And so, in order to fit in, I had to kind of be like a man, And just not a lot of space for my femininity. And I definitely am woman, so all of that. So discovering that, like it
Right.
was challenging, right?
Yeah.
So
So what are some things that you did to kind of work through that? I mean, if you could give a couple tricks or tips, like what are some, did you journal? Did you, like, when you started having these awarenesses and this working through this process, what did it look like? I mean, like you said, it took a minute. It's not something that you're just going to blink your eyes and it's gone.
yeah. So, it's interesting because the process doesn't seem like, oh, here are the 10 steps that you have to do, but they're simple and I think extremely profound, but it does take effort from you. So I really think that for one, if you desire more in your life to heal, if you're hurting, if you feel stuck, if you're not content with who you are and where you're at in life, the one thing is, can you be honest with yourself and then work on understanding or accepting that you are worthy for more? And I'll say whatever that looks like, because everyone is unique. There's no one else like you in the whole wide world. And there's different strategies and tactics out there. So I want to encourage you to to learn and discover more about who you are so that you know what aligns best to you when you stand in commitment for yourself to say, I am worthy and deserve more. Number two, be willing to change. And you know why that's hard? Because people don't want to change.
The brain doesn't want to change, period.
Your brain doesn't want to change. You're subconsciously comfortable. Anything out of the routine seems more, or the beliefs get in the way. They don't want to change. And that's what makes it hard. And then it's resisting, right? So it's like being open to change and reframing it
Hmm.
to being something good and necessary. So if you want more and better and greater, something needs to change, you know? And the last thing I would say is stay open. Be mindful. Listen to what people are saying. Reflect back on who you are. Instead of being defensive or emotional.
Right.
Like if somebody sat there and sent you a book on depression, and sends you referral, it's like what is this coming into my space? And what is it that I need to learn? And it
Right.
may not seem pleasant, but before you judge it, before you judge it, take a moment, stay calm, get into a place of maybe objectivity and just stay open. And if you don't do anything more, just sit and simmer in it.
Hmm. I always say that, they have the 90-second pause or the 60-second pause. Don't react to anything for 60 seconds. Just stop and just sit in that emotion, whatever it is, because you're going to feel it, but it's going to pass. 60
Yeah.
to 90 seconds, it will be gone. And then you can think through it because we are quick to, even when people are trying to help us. Yeah, I had a situation. I mean, I had something exactly today. I was on another podcast and she was a guest on my podcast and she does amazing energy healing.
Yeah.
And she's got me through this exercise and she said, "Well, where do you feel it?" And it was, I said, my backs and my legs feel heavy. And she goes, "Well, that usually means blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, and I got a little pouty for a second because I'm like, "Well, who do you don't really know me." But she hit the nail right on the head. So I didn't react. I just was like, okay. I'm like, I'll have to think through that one later. Later.
Yes.
But it's like take that pause and like you said, just be open. Be open to anything. And it goes back to, again, you started with number two or number one was know that you are worthy. And that is where I would say a large, large, large majority of the work happens because your sense of unworthiness, depending on your background, I mean, and it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to have been through some big T trauma to have been told in one way or another, you're unworthy. It can be
Yeah.
something or unloved or unvalidated or not heard or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be this huge thing, but if it's stuck down in your subconscious, you're going to act on it over and over and over again until you can bring that up and change that thought. Like you said, reframe those stories, whatever it is. But what, because I mean, you know how it is. You can rationalize, right? Do you do affirmations ever?
No, I mean, that's one of my love languages in receiving. And, before I forget this, because the brain parts are real, Tammy, I was just going
Yeah.
to say the things you brought up about, not feeling important or not feeling loved or worthy. If we could just fast track this for everyone, I think there is not one person I have not met that has not dealt with some form of sense of not feeling loved, sense of unworthiness, or important. And I think that is a foundational, ugly root that keeps us stuck. And the
Mm-hmm.
one thing too, when you were talking about, or when we mentioned about staying open, that openness really means awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And awareness is the catalyst of change. So the awareness is becoming aware of certain truths, whether it's good or bad, but it's a catalyst of change. And if that empowers you to reframe it, like I became aware of some poo poo that just got thrown at me about who I am. I can't stand it. It stinks, smells like crap. I'm sitting in this bed of,
Right.
poo,
You can
but
cuss, by the way.
okay,
You're trying very hard to filter. I'm like, okay, I'm okay. I don't have a filter either. So I got it. I'm on this
yeah,
side,
well,
so I have to try to filter.
I know. Well, but the thing here is you're sitting there and the awareness is going, well, I didn't know I've been sitting in this crap. What a gift. And like, I don't want to sit in the crap anymore.
Right.
Catalyst for change, that simple awareness. So own it, embrace it, try to love it.
Mhm. That crap, that pile of poo poo you're sitting in, she said. I mean, no, but it's true. And you're right. It is an ugly thing, that whole sense of unworthiness. And it can be fixed. I mean, that's the good thing for the people out there. It doesn't matter how many times you were told or made to feel that way, and it's so ingrained in you. Whatever you, however your brain was rewired incorrectly, it can be rewired correctly over again. Just takes practice. It just takes loving yourself, like you said, looking at these things with not judgment and
Yeah.
compassion, knowing that it wasn't your fault the way you were, and now let's move forward. Forward.
And what you said, it's so simple, Tammy. But I'll tell you, we people get challenged with doing that because the truth is we don't know how to love. We don't know how to understand that it can be changed. We don't even know how to begin to feel that we're worthy enough like to do this. There's just so much stuff. So it's like learning how to be kind to ourselves, compassionate. And it sounds really weird, but we'll say it all the time. But when it comes down to it, and I meet people, I'm very analytical, intuitive, empathic. I could tell, like, I want you to take a moment to really sit in like a deeper sense to go and ask, what does it mean to show yourself great? What does it mean or feel like or look like to be kind? You know, it's like teaching them. This is kind of an act of love. And it sounds crazy, but it's beautiful. I could do
Mm,
this all day long.
yep. Yep. Well, and it's kind of like dealing with your inner critic, that little person that sits on your shoulder that bam, like gives you that, you spill something and instead of just going, "Oops, I spilled something," you're like, "Oh my God, I always screw things up." How does I spilled something lead all the way to this huge generalization of the fact that I suck?
Right.
But we let it happen that way. So I tell, like, especially with the awareness, the minute that other little nagging thing, because that's all the beliefs that you didn't have yourself, they were told to you, the minute that pops up, you got to do that, like, pattern interrupt, like, bam, stop it, nip it in the bud, and be like, I made a mistake, and mistakes help me grow. Whatever it is,
Right.
reframe it, but we're too quick not to.
Yeah. Here's a tip. Learn how to muzzle your inner critic.
Yeah, amen to that.
Here's a sock. Put a sock in it, you know?
And I've done visualizations with people where we literally take their inner critic, and it's not always the person that harmed you or that hurt you or that did you wrong. It could be a smaller version of yourself. It can be an older version of yourself. Who knows how you picture that little nagging voice that puts you down? But we've done visualizations where we backed them up and made them really small, and so we can get over them and be empowered over them, whatever it is. And that's why I can honestly tell you it helps to have a coach, a mentor, a friend, or somebody because somebody that can help you and walk this journey with you. Because otherwise, it's kind of like when you journal. You ever journal to yourself and then back to yourself, like in inner child work? Have you ever done that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember the first time it's like I wrote my letter to my inner child and then I wrote back, but my mind was still trying to picture what I wanted my inner child to say. Again, there's your ego stuck in there,
Oh,
you
wow.
know?
Yeah.
So I was like, it was so challenging for me. So I started writing. I got this tip from a inner child, whatever she was. I don't know what she was. But she said, write with your opposite hand when you write back. And she said
Wow.
it swaps the sides of your brain, like it opens up a different part of imagination. But I think what happened to me is it did take my ego out of it. I was so concentrated on making the letters, I wasn't thinking about what I was writing. So when I
Wow.
went back and read it, it was like, wow, that is
Profound.
that was me, my little inner child speaking, not my preconditioned, this is what you're supposed to say. It was really kind of cool.
No, it was profound. And I love what you were just saying because here are these simple, easy things to do. But what it really creates is, like you said, this profound healing, this profound change. And we talk about you only have one life to live. I really call people accountable to that. What does that really mean to you? You only have one life to live and you're stuck and you're not happy. So what are you willing to do? Will you put on your big girl panties? Strap it down with the belt and show up and be like, I'm doing this. I know there's more to me. And what does that work look like? And it's crazy because I've done some journaling. They didn't tell me with the left hand. So I think that, like, if anybody's listening to this, try it. Try anything. The one
Try
thing for me
anything.
was the visualization. I don't know why. Visual is very, I'm just a visual person. And when you were talking, the thing that came to me was it wasn't so much words, it's just what I saw. And there was that the little she in me, and it was dark. She had her back to me, and they said try to talk to her but be gentle. And I found myself slowly approaching, but she wanted nothing to do with me. She was so mad at me, so
Mhm.
mad at me and hurt, and I felt it, and it broke my heart. And I ended up apologizing. Not, and then when I came out of it, realizing, do you know, you just apologized to yourself,
Mhm.
and it felt profound to me.
Yeah. I mean, you were literally reparenting that. I mean, and I remember the first time I put a picture of my younger self on a mirror and they said, look at her every day and tell her she's okay and you love her and someone's here for her now. I hated that little girl. She was weak and whiny and should have protected her. Like, I literally hated her and it was me. And then all of a sudden they said, keep doing it, Tammy, keep doing it. And I did it. And then it felt really weird until it didn't. And then it felt really good when all of a sudden one day it flipped and I'm like, God, she was so young. She was so vulnerable. Like she didn't do all this and she's still inside of me begging to get that attention she never got. So let's do this.
Wow,
But I
isn't that
didn't,
beautiful?
it was. And I totally get what you're saying with the back to you because it's when you start any kind of reconnecting with your inner anything, there's going to be some resistance there because in your mind you think that you did wrong by her kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's I don't know how to really explain it, but
But that's exactly the point. And again, hopefully this encourages anybody that's listening. Give yourself permission to experience it. And we're doing the best that we can from our own experience to share that. But you're going to experience what you're going to experience is going to be unique to you, but just as equally profound and beautiful. And even you said, just keep doing it until it got easier. And for me, I thought, I just want to keep loving her until she just moves and gives me some little centimeter, millimeter of an inch of movement to acknowledge me. And the minute that she just kind of tilted her head, still don't look at me. I cried and I just said, I'll take it.
yeah.
I will take it. It was just like kept chipping away at her until she finally let me come to her and hug her. It was so profound.
You
Oh,
know, I did 6 years of pretty solid inner child work all the time. And I can remember sitting with my younger self on a bench next to me and just sitting there and like having like literally having this conversation. And to this day, I mean, I'm 56 years old and I feel like I've gone through a lot. I've conquered a lot, but we're human.
yeah.
Sometimes we're still vulnerable. And there are times where I just hug myself and it's like, I'm like, it's okay, kiddo, we got this. I mean, I'll give myself a big old bear hug. I don't give a crap who's listening.
No, I love it. First of all, you look amazing, 56, and that's still 5 decades of life and whatnot. And this is an example. It's never, whatever age, whether you're in your 20s, 40s, 50s, 60s, it's never too late to, just be more and to heal and to deal and face with the trauma and embrace the dysfunction to get to a place of functional where it's more fulfilling and so forth. And this is why stuck sucks. And if you think about the conversation, there's something in your life that you're stuck in, but the depth of it and what you have to work on, this is really what's going to overcome that stuck, and turn it into success.
And every step forward, it doesn't matter, like you said, how minute it is,
Yeah.
it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. I had a client, she was 71, and she literally said to me, Tammy, for the first time in my life, I feel like I have 100% control and I took back my life and I'm now me. She was 71. I said, it's never too late to start, girl.
No,
Like,
she probably have 20, 30 years left to
she,
live. You
well,
see?
and she probably would have only had 5 or 6. She was freaking miserable, unhealthy. It was horrible. And she let go of all of that and she stepped out and she started telling people what she needed and advocating for herself and loving herself and getting the people out of her life that didn't love her. And it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. Like watching her blossom, like it's 71 years. I was like, I love you. I mean, I hugged her. I had to. It's awesome.
Well, and look at it. Like even that, you got to experience it and you got a positive impact from her
Mhm.
change. We can only imagine when she shows up in other people's lives. And maybe she had to remove people that that were toxic and not good for her. But in doing that, it served her to become this beautiful, more loving, more, I don't know, greater soul. So that the people she ends up being around, she touches them in such a positive way, you know?
And
So
when you think about like people that are like, well, my life was just like this, so I'm destined to blah, 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 all that meh, 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 drives me crazy. But I tell them, if you're not going to heal for you, heal for your children. Because when you heal yourself, you heal your children. And when you heal your children, you heal your grandchildren. And if you don't want to do it for you, do it for them and do it for, like you said, the people around you. It's just positive energy, and it's not, like you said, another beautiful soul that is spreading beaut beautimousness. I don't know how you,
make a
I don't
new word, it
know,
works.
beautimousness. Okay, that's my word for the day, I guess. But it's like, because she was like, well, it doesn't matter. I'm already 40 or 50 and blah blah blah. But your kids will see a change in you, and they will love that, and they will love you more, and your grandkid, like, just trust me on this one.
You
It's
see how mind blowing it is that we can do that for other people. But again, we don't look at ourselves valuable like our children enough to do it for ourselves. Isn't that crazy? And
it's
again, kick that unworthiness in the taco, people.
yeah.
Kick it in the taco.
Yep. And some people are like, well, I've mastered all that. Well, first of all, there's no mastery of your mind. Like, you can't completely 100%, because we're like a freaking onion with a million different layers. But,
Yeah.
I heard a psychologist one time, and she said, if you think you've mastered that, and I use this all the time in so many of my different episodes. So if you've heard it 1,000 times, I'm sorry, guys. But picture your most favorite food or something, and think of how that makes you feel, and it makes you feel warm, right? And just fuzzy, and like you want to hug yourself. I'm picturing my ice cream, my banana split, but whatever.
Oh my
But
God.
it's warm. And now say to yourself, and then seriously stop and think, I deserve all good things, and see how that feels in your body. Because if you don't truly, to your core, believe it, you're going to get some kind of physiological reaction, whether it's a little gut punch or a little clench in your jaw. You're, that means you don't truly, to your core, believe it, which means you're still acting like you don't believe it, because that's how we show up, is what's in our subconscious mind. So it's a nice little test you can do for yourself. I know that was kind of deep after we were laughing and everything, but it's a nice little test to do to yourself to see kind of where you're at.
No, it's beautiful. It's just as good, if not better, than that banana split, Tammy. So
I love a
let
good
me
banana
tell you,
split.
I do too. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, this has been amazing. Wow, our hour is almost up. That's incredible. We talked for a whole hour. I could literally talk to you forever. But before we go, a couple things. One, how do people work with you? What is your access? What can they do? Can they call you, write you? Just tell me about how they can reach you.
Okay. Wonderful. So yes, I definitely work with highly inspired, committed, and honest entrepreneurs. All I do is I'm high touch, customized, specific to you. So it's more one-on-one or small group coaching. But if you are stuck, you are always welcome to come. My door is open. I could give a free strategy session. You could go to my website. It's just realize-yourvision.com. I'm going to spell it out. So it's audio. It's REALIZE dash yourvision.com. And I am inspired from our conversation because stuck sucks, people. And I had just created a tip sheet. It's called the, Ease and Flow, 3 tips to mastering the entrepreneurial roller coaster. But the intention is really to help you manage resistance because you're going to be doing things that you never want to do. And so it's a deep dive, just like the conversation we had, to really reflect on your commitment of showing up and how you can manage the resistance in this amazing entrepreneurial journey that unfolds for you. So if you're interested in that, you just can go to realize-yourvision.com /roller coaster.
And I will put, for the people listening, if you don't have time to write that down, I will also put that in the show notes. So you can go back to the podcast on any platform and look at the show notes, and that will be in there. So you can grab that. So I love that. And thank you so much. That was amazing. And
Thank
I
you,
love,
Tammy.
yes, you're so welcome. Now, was that your, are you still going to leave me with some words of wisdom? I always have the guests, but you gave a tip sheet. So that's like something really tangible. But give your best words of wisdom for someone to leave them with, to think about. They're going to grab your tip sheet too, but
Oh, oh my gosh, there's just so much. And in this one moment, I think, you know, um, I know we've already said it, but if this resonates with you, take that stuck sucks and let it be that mantra. Find it and feel it to you, and to know that you are loved, you are worthy, and you are meant to do great things. So
oh, perfect. I couldn't have said it any better. So thank you so much for coming on, Sheila. I so appreciate you.
thank you, Tammy. You were amazing. I had such a blast.
Great. And for everybody out there listening, remember, stuck sucks and you don't have to stay there. So don't stay in stuck sucks. Just
Amen.
just do the work. Know that you are so worthy just the way you are right now, and you deserve the absolute best in the world to give to yourself. So you guys have a blessed week, and I will talk to you soon. Love you.